Big trap, big trap.
Action.
First off, I want to say thank you for coming on my platform and let me interview you.
You're welcome.
We've been talking about this for some time now, and it's finally come to fruition.
Yeah.
And I like that. Um, First off, tell the people who you are, your name,
I'm Billie Edison.
and who was Billie Edison.
Billie Edison is a lot of things, but I would say first and foremost, she is a child of God.
When people hear your name, hold on, a child of God. Say that again. When what?
Well, you asked me who is Billie Edison.
And you said
I said I am a child of God.
Billie Edison is a child of God.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
First and foremost.
A child of God. Okay. When people hear your name, what you think they will assume about you?
I would say back in the day, their thoughts were not very good. Today, I think they see redemption and mercy and grace.
Back in the day, how far back in the day? What's back in the day?
I would say before 2016.
Or 2016?
Yeah.
What kind of childhood did you have like before, like the streets and like your stuff like that?
So I was raised in a single family home with just my mother. My father was never really in the picture. Definitely grew up around a lot of drug and alcohol use, and that eventually like stemmed into my life and caused a lot of problems. But I had a great mother. You know, she worked hard to take care of us, and but you know, she had her issues as well. So.
All right. So what did little Billy dream of becoming?
A doctor.
A doctor?
I wanted to be a doctor.
What made you want to be a doctor?
I loved the medical field. I actually started working in the medical field when I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I graduated high school, continued in the medical field for 23 years before my arrest.
You was in the medical field for 23 years before your arrest?
Yes.
And what was you?
I started out as a CNA, certified nursing assistant. Then I became a phlebotomist. Then I became a lab tech. And then I became a lab supervisor and like started running my own laboratories.
You was making money, weren't you?
Yeah, I was doing pretty good.
Because the lab techs make money, right?
Yeah.
That's what I assumed. Well, I just talked to this girl and she said they don't make no money. That wasn't enough.
That's not true.
She said it wasn't worth going to school for.
I absolutely loved what I was doing, but after my incarceration, I could not get a job doing what I was doing. So.
All right. Who was your biggest role model?
You know, whenever I was 8 years old, my mom put me in the Big Sister, Big Brother program. And my big sister, Terry, was pretty amazing. So I always looked up to her. Mm-hmm. And I was 8 when we became big sisters, and we are still friends to this day. And she's just absolutely amazing. Good Christian woman, has always been there for me. And yeah, I would have to say.
Is this the lady I met that day? At church?
No.
The same lady?
Nope, you haven't met her.
Oh, okay. Did you feel love growing up?
I did, but it was also a lot of like uncertainty in the house just because of the parties and stuff that my mom would have.
What kind of parties?
Just drinking, doing drugs, smoking pot. Like I was around all of it.
Is that was like your regular, that was normal, that was made normal to you?
It was normal, yes.
Yeah. When you said, what you think you was looking for? You was looking for acceptance?
Yeah, I think that was most definitely a huge part of it, just because my father was never around. And I didn't realize that until I got older. And just, you know, the work that I had to do on myself while I was incarcerated really showed me that that impacted my life more than I thought it did.
Right.
So, you know, and also when you're raised around that environment, it's normal for you to fall into that routine.
I agree.
You know, I've definitely always envied people that can be raised in that environment and say, I'm absolutely not living like that.
Yeah, because they say you gonna either go one way or the other way.
And
growing up in that environment.
I definitely did not. But, you know, I had family members at a very young age getting me drunk. Before the age of 10, I had family members giving me alcohol.
Yeah.
At the age of 10, I had a friend's mom get me high on marijuana. 15, I was definitely a full-blown alcoholic. I felt like every weekend I was partying, I was throwing up, I didn't know when to stop. And then 21, I got hooked on cocaine, ended up filing bankruptcy over that. Like, I never knew how to just go halfway with something.
You sped up.
Yeah.
We sped up, because that's what's going to lead me to my next question.
Okay.
Which was, looking back, when do you think life started going left?
When I was 10.
That when alcohol?
No, 10, it was like, I was in elementary school and I became friends with a girl, and my mom allowed me to spend the night with her. And on the school bus to her house, she was like, do you want to smoke a bowl when we get home? And I was like, what does that even mean? And we got there and her mom got us high. And then from there on, like,
how old was you?
10.
10.
I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I smoked pot until I was like 18 years old, nonstop, on top of the drinking.
So at 10, also the question was, when did you feel like your life was going left? But did you know in that moment that it was going, that you were living going left, that your life was going left? Basically, did you know it was going left while you were living it? Like in the moment, you wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah,
in that moment,
I don't think in the moment
10.
I realized that.
Or you realized it after everything happened.
Yeah, I definitely realized it. You know, I knew I had a problem. I just, again, it was like, it was so normal for me to be doing those things because I'd seen it my entire life. So, and then, you know, I also, you know, like once I became a mother and I started my career, I maintained a life while doing all that.
Right. So what you think are you chasing? Was you chasing money, love, survival?
Well, I don't think I was really chasing money at the time, just because, you know, I was.
We can be like sped up like after, you know what I'm saying? After 10, like you're grown, you're 20, 16, 21.
Yeah, it wasn't really about money because I wasn't selling it or dealing it.
Right.
But again, I didn't realize the impact of not having a father. You know, growing up, I had no idea how that impacted me until later. So I really think, I mean, first and foremost, I think it was just because I was around it. And then also, like, all my friends were doing it that I was hanging out with. So, you know, wanting to fit in. And then also, I think it just maybe helped me cover up some pain that I didn't really know at the time I was experiencing, but I was.
Yeah.
You know, no child grows up without a father and is okay.
Do you feel like you had any trauma bonds with anybody that you grew up with, or you maybe contact maybe boyfriends or relationships with?
My entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you talked about your case before, but I was wanting people to hear it from you. Like, could you walk me through that day?
Yeah. So, do you want me to talk about like how I got started, or do you want me to just talk about the actual crime?
Just tell us Let's just start off that day. That you waking up and not, you know what I'm saying? You just that day from your perspective and mine from you just waking up not knowing that everything was going to.
Yeah. Well, for one, I'd been up for 4 days. So there was definitely there was no waking up. I had been up for 4 days using drugs. And
what was you using?
Oh, gosh. I was smoking weed. I was taking pills. I was snorting meth, cocaine.
Your teeth are so beautiful. That's hard to believe. What?
Well, I still took care of myself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're crazy. But I get it. I get it. But so yeah, I had been up for 4 days, and I had started selling drugs. So a couple of the guys that I was running with, mainly we were selling, or I was selling down in Bloomington, and there was
Bloomington, Indiana.
Bloomington, Indiana. Yes. And there was a girl that we had been dealing with down there, and we had asked her, a guy had taken drugs from us, and we found out that he had been going back to her house to get drugs again. So we had stopped by and talked to her, and she said that she would, let us know when he was there. Well, she didn't. So that really upset nephew, and he was like, we're just going to go down and take her drugs and her money, and she will not sell dope again until she turns him over.
Who was nephew?
Nephew was one of the guys I was running with.
Was he on your co-defendant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to use his real name.
Right.
But that's what he went by on the streets, was nephew.
Yeah.
And he called me that morning, and he was like, we're going to go down and take care of Brittany today, which was kind of confusing to me, because he said that he had people that was going to go down there and do it. That he didn't take care of that stuff by himself. So, me in my mind, I have no clue what is about to happen. I had no clue. I knew we were going to take her drugs and her money, but I had no idea how severe all of this was going to be. And so we head down to Bloomington, and we have 0 weapons on us. And we decide to run by this guy named Jared's house first, because he owed nephew money. And so we stopped by to get the money, and he didn't have the money, and he didn't have the drugs. Well, they end up taking an SK from his house. Before we leave, they beat him with the gun, and then they load the gun up, and they take it as collateral for what he owes until he can come up with the money. And we get over to Brittany's house, and the guy takes the gun in. And I knock on the door, and he immediately sticks the gun to her head and backs her up into the house. I had never in my entire life witnessed anything like that besides in a movie. So I was like, I didn't even know what to think. And we weren't even in there 2 minutes, and he shot her. And I ran as fast as I could out of the house and went and told nephew what he did. And he told me to get back in there and help grab the money and stuff out of the safe and take her drugs. So I go back in, and he's literally dragging her across the carpet after he had shot her. And I said, there's just no way. I could not believe it. So I went back out, and I just sat in the car. And he came out, and we left. And we drove back to Indianapolis, and I was arrested the next day.
That's a lot. At any point, did you feel like your life wasn't gonna never be the same?
Oh, I knew it was never going to be the same after that.
Instantly?
Instantly. Because for one, he had just shot. Well, I didn't know that she had died, obviously, until the next day. But I knew that he had shot her. And you don't witness something like that and be okay.
What, did it make the news?
Oh, yeah.
It was on
Yeah.
news?
Yeah. I was plastered all over the news, newspapers. My mom's phone just started blowing up.
Because where you originally from?
I was born and raised in Bloomington, but
Oh,
I lived in Greenwood, Indiana for 16, or Center Grove.
But you was born in Bloomington.
Yes.
Oh, okay. What what did the media get wrong? What do you think the media got wrong on them covering the
Well,
story?
I mean, for me, I was charged with murder, felony murder, and robbery, and I didn't shoot her.
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't understand that that was like an actual thing. But if you are present when a crime takes place, you get charged with the exact charge
As
as
everybody else.
the shooter.
Right.
Yeah. They ended up knocking my charges down to robbery resulting in bodily injury. So I didn't get, the murder charge or the felony murder charge. But yeah, I will never forget them taking me. I was at a gas station and U.S. Marshals surrounded my car, and everywhere I looked, there was a gun pointed at me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm just going to back up for a minute, because something I used to tell people whenever I was dealing drugs, that if I get pulled over with drugs on me or whatever, I'm going to pretend like I'm shooting the cops, because I'm not going to prison. Which is crazy, because when you're dealing drugs and living the life that I was living, like, you're either going to end up dead or you're going to end up in prison.
Mm.
Those are your two options.
Right.
And so it was crazy, because whenever I looked over at that gun and I was thinking, I have drugs in the car, a girl had just been shot, and, for a quick second, I thought, like, I'm just going to pretend like I'm shooting the cops. And I just heard this still small voice that said, "Be still." And I have no idea. I didn't have at the time. I didn't know who that was. I didn't know who was telling me to be still. But I knew that I had never felt or heard that voice before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's exactly what I did, is I just sat there and was taken to the police department and questioned for hours and hours and hours, and finally charged and taken to Bloomington.
What did you wish, or do you wish, people had stopped saying about your case? Or do you even think about it at all?
Well, it was really hard, because there were a lot of lies made up about me, that it was my idea to go rob Brittany, that I set it up, that I made this happen because I wanted to be Brittany, that I stole jewelry and all kinds of stuff out of her house. Those things never happened. But really, none of that's even important now. You know what I mean? Like, a life was taken.
Yeah.
So I don't blame, or I'm not mad at her family. I mean, I understand their pain, because I couldn't imagine that happening to my child.
Right. What some people might hear your story and immediately say she deserves everything she got. What would you say to those people?
Well, it depends on what they're talking about, because I definitely deserved prison time. I absolutely did not think that I deserved 60 years in prison. And I also know that you can't change people's opinion of you. For me, it was about just doing what's right, and walking the walk that I say I'm going to walk, and just show people.
Do you take do you take responsibility for the decisions that put you there?
Absolutely.
What part was your responsibility?
Dealing drugs, taking them guys to her house to begin with, thinking I'm above everybody else. Gosh, there's so many things.
What do you think people misunderstand?
I think maybe, so whenever I was being sentenced, one of the questions the judge asked the cop that arrested me was, do you believe there's a difference between Billie and her two co-defendants? And he said, nope, they're all equally evil. And that was really like very upsetting to hear, because I had spent my entire life saving people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, yeah, I had gotten to a point where I was so spiritually dead that like living that life was just what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that like nobody is beyond God's reach. And I know I definitely was not, because the whole situation changed my life in a good way.
So do you feel like in that moment when everything happened, do you feel like it was like the worst thing and the best thing that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I always tell people, if I could take the crime back, I would. I would in a heartbeat. But as far as the prison time I served, no, I would not take that back. Even though it was like 7 years of pure hell, I also used it to like educate myself, work on myself, and just really grow closer to God and discover me for once, you know?
Mm-hmm. What was your first night in jail?
What was it like?
Yeah.
They ended up putting me in a cell by myself the first night, because I was just in shock. Like, it was so weird, because when they cuffed me and they put me in the police car after they had just charged me with all that, it was like I almost had a sense of relief that it was all over. Because when I tell you that life, you're just constantly looking over your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard telling what was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's crazy that you said that, because I feel like my last case that I had caught was an A felony. It was dealing. It was like when they busted through the door and I got busted, it was like, it was a relief. Cause I knew that was the last part. I knew that was the last time that I was going to be living that life and having to look over my shoulder. This stuff was happening. In that moment, it was like, I know, I just knew it was, I just knew it was such a relief.
Yeah.
And my life was different, and it was the worst and best thing that ever happened to me. So what was like how long did you spend in the county?
Like 16 months.
A year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Or basically a year and a half.
Yeah, and it turned out, it was pretty rough in the beginning, because they had to end up pulling me out of the block. Like, I couldn't even use the phone. The girls were banging on the door. They were hanging the girl's picture all over the block when I would come out. And I was basically being accused of her murder. Right. So it was really...
Brittany was somebody popular in Bloomington?
She was a pretty big time drug dealer down there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they ended up pulling me out of the block, and put me in segregation for 8 months.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too happy about that.
How was like the court process in court? Did your co-defendants take it to trial, or they took pleas too?
One of them took it to trial. One of them took a plea deal.
Which one took it to trial?
The one that set everything up.
Is that so that ain't the one who shot him? That's a different person? The one who set it up took it to trial and lost.
Yeah.
What'd they give him?
77.
And what'd they get the one that shot her?
65.
He took a plea? 65, and the one took a trial, they gave him 77.
Yeah.
That seemed purposeful. And you got what?
I got 16 to 12.
You got 6. And you was under the new law in Indiana. 85%.
Yep.
Yeah. So, so did you have to testify?
I did.
So,
It was so crazy.
so like,
They wouldn't even, so they had to bring me in and get me sat down before they would even bring him in. They wouldn't even let me walk past him.
right.
And after I testified against him, there was a phone call and they were listening to it. They had me out of the jail within an hour. They put me in a whole different county because they told me they couldn't protect me.
Yeah. What they saying you was a snitch?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, they were telling the prosecutors that I set that robbery up.
Right.
And when my attorneys brought in the paperwork and showed me that, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I didn't even, you called me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he wasn't too happy about that. So they ended up moving me to another jail until they got him out of there.
So was the girls messing with you, calling you a snitch?
No, no.
Do you feel like you're a snitch?
The girls, no, I felt like I was fighting for myself because both of the guys were blaming me for what happened.
So you feel like you was just protecting yourself?
I was most definitely protecting myself.
Self-preservation.
Because honestly, if we all would have kept our mouth shut, none of us would have went to jail. We wouldn't have stayed in there.
Why you say that?
Because there was no witnesses.
What you mean? But they knew who y'all. But how would they know who y'all was though? They know who y'all was.
Yeah, because
But like, how did they even? But how did they know though?
A name was said. A name was said. But the thing is like, you eventually know that's not the right thing to do.
Right.
You know? And I'll tell you, whenever I got into the jail and I started sobering up and really taking a good look at what I had been a part of and what I was doing, the guards used to have to come and get me out of my cell and take me to the gym because I was having the worst anxiety attacks. Like, I couldn't believe I was part of a girl being shot and killed.
Were you scared?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Which part scared you the most?
I mean, all of it.
What broke you emotionally?
Her parents, her family, knowing what they were going through. My mom was just absolutely devastated. My kids, I knew I was going to be away from them for a long time. And that was just the humiliation that they were going through. Yeah.
Did you ever cry?
I cried a lot.
When did you cry the most?
Like I said, I started having panic attacks because I just couldn't get the images like out of my head, like over and over again. They just, it was like a reel that just kept
Because you knew
playing.
her. How long did you know?
No, I didn't know her.
You didn't know her at all. But you've seen her. You just witnessed it.
But that's, you know, you don't have to know somebody to like.
Yeah.
Feel absolutely terrible for what just happened.
And yeah, if you've seen it with your own eyes,
And like,
I'm pretty sure.
just all I could think of was like, what if that was my child? You know. So I mean, it was just all hard. But you know, one thing I know for certain is that God will use whatever. And I'm not saying that He wanted that to happen to Brittany, because He doesn't make evil happen. But He changed my life because of all that, you know. Before they even moved me out to the block, I remember I wasn't much of a reader. Honestly, hated reading books. And all the girls were like, you better get used to it because you're going to be reading a lot of books. And then a lot of them were telling me I needed to read the Bible. And I had gone to church for 16 years, but could not have told you one Bible verse. Like, I was not spiritually there. You know what I mean? So one day I'm in my cell, and this is before they moved me out of the block. And I start reading the Bible, and I'm reading John 14:27, and it says, my peace I leave with you, My peace I give you. I do not give as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. And immediately after reading that verse, I literally felt something come into my body. And I just started crying and praising a God I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And from that day forward, like everything was different. I started on page 1 of the Bible. I didn't stop until I finished it. And I had actually went to a guard, you know, and I asked her, I said, listen, something happened to me yesterday and I don't know what it is. And I told her, and she said that God had baptized me with His Spirit. And it talks about, like in Ezekiel, how God will breathe new life into you, like the valley of dry bones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, He breathed new life into them and they became flesh. I mean, it's just amazing what God can do.
Is that when you started, would you say, I wanted to ask it, because you kind of like said it there, when did you like stop surviving and start changing? When did you stop surviving and start changing?
It was definitely that day. That was in September. I was arrested August, I think it was 28th of 2016, and was up until, it was like around my sister's birthday, which was September 13th. And that's when that happened. And after that, I was just like on fire, like for God. And like I said, I just one day got pulled out of the block and put into segregation. They told me it was the prosecutors because they wanted to keep me away from my co-defendants. But to this day, I know who did it. I know it was God, and He became my teacher. And yeah, I just started studying the scriptures and was just hearing God's voice so clearly. And I turned jail time and prison time into like Bible college, you know, and just started really serving Him and working in the church, and just had so many different experiences. Like you can't tell me that God's not real, and He's just amazing.
So you feel like that well, basically a conversation or you reading that book is what changed everything?
Yeah, the Bible
moment.
is definitely not just a book. It's living scriptures. It literally comes off the page and changes your life.
And you, how involved was you in church before your prison sentence?
Very involved, but like I was drinking every weekend. I was doing drugs, you know, cussing everybody out until I got to the door. You know, definitely was not living a Christian life. And you know, it kind of just blew my mind that you can sit in a church for 16 years and not know one Bible verse. Mm-hmm. And so.
You went to prison what year?
2016.
What was your first night in prison like?
It was absolutely terrifying. I'll never forget walking into Rockville. It's just this huge, open, like 2-tier.
Rockville prison, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just girls acting crazy all over the place. Mm-hmm. And it's freezing. And it was February. And you had to get up for every meal, and they made you stand out in that weather until everybody in the line it was just, my body shook for 4 days.
Yeah. It
absolutely did. I couldn't get it to stop.
What was the difference between prison and the county?
It was a culture shock for one, because while I was in the county, I couldn't be around other people. Mm-hmm. Because the level of my charges, I was not allowed to be out with anybody, so I only got out for an hour a day. Mm-hmm. I was in a cell for 8 months by myself. So I went from that to being around everybody, and just, it was like a zoo. Yeah. A bunch of wild animals.
Yeah, walk me through that. Like, I want to know, like, what is it, like, you was in, like, how was that experience, though? Like, what was, like, the women, like, was they aggressive? Was they mean? Was a lot of prison politics? Like, How did you keep your nose clean? What was you dodging and ducking to stay on a straight path? Because there's a lot of people that go there, they start back smoking, start back doing drugs, they start back, you know what I'm saying? And they want to change, but then they go there and then they get blocked. So this is a double question. What did you see in there? What was all that you seen in there that was like was hard for people just trying to sober up to? What did you witness and what did you see in there, and then how did you overcome that?
I didn't really see a lot of drugs in there. But by the time I got to prison, God had really done a lot of work on me. So, for one, I didn't get picked on because everybody thought I had a cool charge, you know, which is so crazy to me. But, you know, people kind of like, I don't know, they put you in these categories. Like if you've got a murder or you've got a robbery or something like that, that makes you cooler than, you know, somebody that comes in with a kid charge or, you know, it's just, yeah, which I think is crazy. But I just did me, you know. I stayed out of people's business. That's number one in prison. Mind your own business.
Okay.
And
what's number two?
Stay out of relationships with females. I didn't have a problem with that.
What's number three?
So, and really just not letting people walk all over you. Like you have to stand your ground. Like one of the things I just refused to do was to do something that was going to get me written up. So I had people ask me several times to pass mail or to do this or to do that. And the answer was always no. And I just stood my ground with that.
How many times did you get written up while you was in prison?
No write-ups, not a single one.
And you got locked up when?
In 2016, and I got released in 2023.
Your second chance was in 2023.
Yeah.
And how was that coming home? Like coming back from? You got released from Rockville?
No, I transferred to IWP.
You had a federal charge, didn't you?
Nope.
Oh, that's right.
No.
No.
I had done the PLUS program at Rockville, and a few weeks later, I put in a transfer to go to IWP, so I'd be closer to my family. And while I was there, I ended up doing a class called The Last Mile, and I had actually had a modification that was approved. And I actually turned the modification down to stay and do the Last Mile class.
Oh.
Again, that's when I heard God's voice. Yeah. I knew that he wanted me to stay and do that program.
You could have got released early?
I could have got released early, but I ended up doing 1.5 years more.
And what made you do that? What made you do that?
I wanted to give myself the best chance possible for a job whenever I got out. And the Last Mile program has a really good reentry program. So I called home, spoke to the kids, you know, kind of let them know what I wanted to do and see how they felt about it, you know, because that would mean me being away from them even longer. But they were on board and proud that I was making that decision, you know, because Gavin had told me, he was like, Mom, it's hard for people out here that don't have a felony on their record. So, you know, do what you got to do. So I stayed and did the Last Mile program, and then as soon as I finished that, I got shipped to Madison prison, and that's where I left from.
Okay. Most people expect prison to be the hardest part. Was prison actually easier than coming home?
Say that again?
Most people expect prison to be the hardest part of like your situation. Was prison actually easier than coming home? Like coming home and starting over?
No, starting over, okay. So when I left prison, I really had no idea how hard it was going to be. It was definitely hard. But that environment in prison is so toxic. It's just constant chaos. So I couldn't wait to get out of that. But coming home wasn't easy either because, like, I was terrified, like, to go places. Like, going to big stores freaked me out. Picking out clothes was hard for me. There was too much to pick from.
Was it weird sleeping at night?
Yeah, it was crazy because my first night home, I didn't have a fan, and I had a fan in prison. Yeah. So I laid there all night. I could not sleep. So I had to go get me a fan that next night. I was like, I can't do it. And I'm still like that.
Yeah, I can't sleep without a fan either.
No.
I had a fan my whole bed too. I couldn't do it
Yeah.
either. What was harder, being locked up or convincing people you changed?
You know, the way I lived my life really proved pretty quickly to people that I was different, because I really was. Like, you know, when I say Jesus changes everything, he changes everything. So it really didn't take people long to like see that I had changed.
So from prison to the Pacers.
Yeah. So when I got home, couldn't find a job to save my life. Ended up getting a job at Goodwill. That was in June, and in August, I had been working with the reentry program through the last mile since I'd been home, and my reentry person called me one day and said that Steve Simon, who is the owner of the Pacers, he's really good friends with Chris Redlitz, and he's the one that started the last mile program that's in the prisons. So they're good friends, and Steve was like finally ready. He had seen the success from the last mile students, and he was ready to hire somebody. So I interviewed for the job and actually got it.
That's a movie. From prison to the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
That don't happen.
I know, right? That's what my son said. He was like, I would love to like see if this has happened to anybody else. You know, and it wasn't just me going to that job. I mean, it was huge. You know, they asked me whenever I took the position, or even before I took it, if I was going to be ready with everything that came with it, that there was going to be a lot of eyes on me because, you know, working for an NBA team, doing time in prison, and, you know, also wanting other NBA teams to jump on board, you know.
Do you forgive yourself?
I absolutely do.
Why you say that? How long did it take you to forgive yourself?
I did a lot of work on that while I was incarcerated. There was a lot of tears shed. There was a lot of just self-reflection. And, you know, also knowing I had to be forgiving of that little girl that grew up around, you know, drugs and alcohol, and just felt like that life was okay, and it wasn't. You know, I had to forgive her and tell her that it was okay.
If the victim's family was sitting here, what would you want them to know?
That I am most definitely sorry, and if I could ever take that back, I would.
What does accountability actually look like?
I mean, you have to like admit where you went wrong. You have to be able to speak it out loud, you know. And for the longest time, I was just mad that I got charged with murder and felony murder. I was so angry about that. And because I just didn't understand the law, I was like, I didn't touch that gun. My fingerprints were not on that gun. Like, I had nothing to do with that. I had no idea they were going to do it. But I also had to come to the conclusion that if I wouldn't have went there that night, if I wouldn't have knocked on that door, she knew my face, you know what I mean? Then that probably wouldn't have happened. I don't know if she would have opened a door for a total stranger. So, like, I definitely played my part, and I accepted that.
If someone was to say that you don't deserve a second chance, what would you tell them?
Honestly, you can't really convince people of that. Like, there's a lot of people that are just dead set on um, people being punished their entire life. I dealt with that with guards in prison. You know, that is a place to rehabilitate. That is a place to love on a lot of broken people. But there's a lot of guards inside of those facilities that feel like you need to be punished every single day.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
We live in a world where one mistake can follow you forever. Do you think society really believes in rehabilitation, or do you think they just say we do?
I feel like some people do, absolutely. I think it goes both ways. There's some people that feel like you know, you're not capable of change, because some people don't change. But I most definitely believe that people can change and learn from their mistakes. I mean, I'm living proof of that.
What do you think people judge you for that know absolutely nothing about you?
I don't know, and I really don't care. Honestly, I don't.
What's one lesson that prison taught you?
Not to go back. Not to ever go back. Yeah, I don't want to ever be in that environment again. You know, I always said that whenever I come back to prison, I'll be wearing street clothes. And that's one of the things I love to do the most, is to go back in and to spread hope. And because of the Pacers in the last mile, I've been given a pretty big platform to do that. And feel like that is most definitely my purpose in life.
Okay, we're about to do rapid fire. So one word. Hope. Yeah, go. One word.
One word?
It's rapid fire. So I'm gonna say one word. I'm sorry, I gotta explain. So it's rapid fire. I'm gonna say a word, and you say what comes to mind or what you think.
Like what I think about hope?
Yeah. So I'm about to this rap. Yeah. So I'm gonna say okay, hope. And what comes to your mind? What part? When I say hope, what comes to mind? Hope.
I don't.
You don't get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hope. That's such a huge word. Because, like, no, it truly is. Like, it's an amazing word, because, you know, there were so many years that I felt hopeless, and I don't feel that way anymore.
See, it's too many words. You're supposed to rapid fire one word. So it can be like hope. Now, if you would have said to me hope, and I'd have been like peace, or hope, or I'd have been like forgiveness, or freedom.
I love my freedom. I don't know.
Forgiveness.
Forgiven.
Fear.
Fear not.
Or none. You could have said none. Purpose. Everything.
Everything.
Family.
Love.
God.
Great.
See, you getting it now. Success.
Successful.
Okay, here at Big Elephant in our interviews, we always ask this. Big Elephant Vision Moments asks. I always ask, what does vision mean to you? What does having a vision mean to you?
Follow through.
Follow through.
Yes.
I like that. If someone was watching this interview in prison cell right now and thinking their life is over, look them directly in the camera and tell them something.
You are never too far from God. You have hope, and you are loved, and you definitely have people out here fighting for you, because that's what I tell everybody. Like, I can do more for you out here than I could ever do for you in there, and you do have a purpose in life.
Okay. Where do you see Billie Edison 5 years from now?
Well, I've got some plans. Definitely got some plans. One of the things I want to do is, obviously continue my prison ministry, but I also want to help people that are being released from prison.
Mm-hmm.
So, like with housing and clothing vouchers, a cell phone, a ride home if they need it, because it's really hard walking out that door with nothing.
What's one thing you want people to remember after this interview?
That God can restore anything.
Amen. Won't he do it?
Amen. He'll do it for sure.
Okay, well, thank you, Miss Edison, for coming on Big Elephant platform and telling your story and trusting me with your vision. And I appreciate you. And that's a wrap. Come on.
You a big trapper, you a big rapper.